All right, thank you everyone for joining. This is the Secure and, I guess, SEC, CS and PM monthly sync. And this will be the public portion that will go over product updates. And if you have any questions about any of the updates that we list here, feel free to ask them here. So let me share my screen. All right, so I just pulled out a few from 15.11 and then a couple that we have already deployed to GitLab.com for 16.0. So starting with 15.11, I wanted to point out that the container scanning now outputs the Cyclone DX SBOM documents. So that's I think a really good addition. Should help out anybody that's using container scanning and is concerned about SBOMs. So we added another level of automatic response to the leak secrets on public branches. Before this automatic protection, it only worked before or after you committed the secret. Now merge requests and unmerged branches are also protected, so that significantly increases the security there and reduces the possibility that you could have any exposure if a secret is leaked. All right, we added vulnerability dismissal reasons, and I just listed the different reasons there. So now whenever you dismiss a vulnerability, rather than having to type in the comments why you're dismissing it, you can just use one of those dismissal reasons. And then in 15.11, we added the ability to manage the project frameworks, compliance frameworks at the group level in bulk in 16.0, and this has already been deployed to GitLab.com. We've added quick actions so that you can just do one at a time. So going down the rows in the table, you can see there's a plus and a minus I guess a plus to add a framework, and then once a framework is applied to it, you can quickly remove it with an X that's beside the label. You can also create and edit the frameworks in line in that page now, rather than having to jump back over to the group settings. So you can more quickly get through that. And you know what? Let me see if I could show this to you quickly, since there is a couple of changes that might be right. So we added the bulk previously. You can add these. Now you can add the framework here. If you don't have a framework, you can create it in line there. If you do have a framework, you can edit it, or you can just remove it from here. So that makes managing these a whole lot faster than it used to be. All right, and then Grant, I will throw it over to you to go over what you put in here.
For sure, yeah. I'll share my screen, or I don't know, do we want to, I saw the comment about our private section. Maybe I can just skip that down a few tabs.
Good idea.
Okay, yeah, so I pulled in a few updates to share here. The first one is failing close for invalid security policy approval checks. So more of a heads up, this is a rare case that this would really come up. But if a security policy does become invalid, we'll be blocking the MR until the security policy is fixed. That way, there's no risk of vulnerabilities being introduced. So as a result of misconfiguration. So there's some guidance around like action being required, working with the security team to fix that policy. And that would unblock merge requests to get that once you get that policy fixed. So an example of how this could happen is if you have a small set of approvers set on the policy. Let's say someone leaves the company or a number of like things change around, users get, lose access to the project that they were set as approver from, then the number of eligible approvers could drop below the required number. So in those cases, we'll display action required and guide users to kind of fix that policy. And I think what we saw is it's like 0.2% chance that this would occur, but we don't want to, we want to ensure compliance. We don't want to allow any vulnerabilities to pass through. The next one is role-based approvals for scan result policies. I think we may have talked about this last time. It was enabled by behind a feature flag on GitLab.com, but we've now enabled it globally on production. So it'll be part of the 16.0 release for self-managed as well. And this will allow you to choose approvers, including owner, maintainer, or developer as an approver, in addition to the option to choose an individual or a group to require approvals from. And lastly, I just want to highlight supporting additional filters for scan result policies. There are a number of filters we're working on. The first one that we're addressing in 16.0 is updates to our status field. It's been a bit confusing, I think, lumping new and previously existing vulnerabilities together in that filter. So in this case, after this update, you'll be able to say, choose newly detected or previously existing first, and then you have options for defining the rules based on that, and that'll allow you to, for example, remove dismissed vulnerabilities that have been dismissed in the MR by rerunning the pipeline. That, for example, is not something you can do today. And more so, this will just provide clarity. I think sometimes there's a lot of confusion when you lump the two together about exactly what the behavior will be. So this will make it a lot more straightforward for users. Additionally, after 16.0, we'll be working towards adding filters for the age of a vulnerability and an attribute filter for fix available and false positive. So you can take a look into that issue to learn more, but essentially this will help reduce noise and make it a lot easier to see which vulnerabilities are most actionable to address. This has been definitely a highly sought after feature from customers that we've heard from. Yeah, would be glad to hear feedback on any of these.
Quick question for you, Grant, on the you scroll. I'm trying to find my place here. Oh, on the invalid security policies, is there any notification that will go out to admins or anything like that when a policy becomes invalid, or just will they know because it's blocked?
Yeah, they'll know because it's blocked. I would say, I think we've got some designs in here that will show. So yeah, the MR is going to show action required. And then we guide users through some of the content here, why there's an issue and how to kind of reach out to get that fixed.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, that's a good question. I mean, notifications could be useful. We just don't have any yet. So I think that will improve over time. We do have some epics around setting up notifications for various security features that we'd like to explore.
Cool, thank you.
You're welcome.
Grant, I had a question on your very last point there about the age of a vulnerability. Is that the age from the detection, or is it the age of the vulnerability in general? I mean, what are we focused on there?
Yeah, I'm trying to recall exactly. So I know that the intent is to be able to kind of set SLAs around the vulnerability. So if it's, I think it's the full age of the vulnerability. So if it's existed in your code base over X days, you can set filters based on that. So in some cases you might say, like, let's address all critical vulnerabilities immediately, but say for low severity vulnerabilities, we want to create issues and set some requirements to get those fixed. So you may want to filter those out and start to like surface them up once they've passed a certain age. So I'm pretty sure that's the full age of the vulnerability, not just when it was detected.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
I'll double
that
check
makes
and
sense
let you
from a
know if
workflow perspective.
yeah. Good question though. I'll add that in the notes, or if you want to jot that down, I'll clarify, but I think that's the case. Any other questions on these, or I can stop sharing and we'll stop recording.
All right, I will stop the recording here.